All right, so Shirley finds her vengeance and gets retaliation. Welcome to the Film Threat Review Show. I'm Alan Ng, managing editor of Film Threat, and with me is one of our writers, Bobby Lepire. Hey, Bobby, how's it going? How's it going?
All right, guys.
Good. Let's see. Yeah, start talking. Maybe I want to see if we're synced or not.
It's been a busy day. I've been home for less than an hour almost recording this.
Okay. Yeah, we're just cutting in and out. That's fine. We'll move along here. But some exciting news has been coming along. Let me pull up just a little news bit. Yeah, Regal opens up on July 10th, and then AMC just made an announcement that they're opening July 15th. And the first films to come out, there's a Russell Crowe film coming out that weekend, I believe. And at least that's what Regal's.
Oh yeah, I've seen ads for that.
Yeah, and I think Mulan is supposed to come out on the 24th, maybe, but definitely Tenet on the 31st. Mulan may. I don't know if Disney's made a final official announcement, but
Gotcha.
It's either going to be.
I heard something about an Inception 10th anniversary.
Oh, which one? Oh, the Inception anniversary.
Anything about that?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Let me. So let me get your thoughts.
I just read it. They pushed back Tenet to do that, but I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. I mean, right now, it's like California just went. The governor had to make an announcement that we're all supposed to wear masks again. Florida has seen a rise in cases, but who knows really what all that means. That's the smart people do, I guess. So I mean, what are you gonna? This is mostly West Coast news, though. I mean, any word on what's happening in your area regarding theaters?
We have to wear masks when we go out. Have to wear a mask at my job and that sort of thing. If you're trying to ride public transportation, you have to wear a mask, and that's been like they never let that up so far.
Yeah.
Cases are slowly declining, but not enough to where people are doing stuff. But at restaurants, if they have outdoor seating, they can open and like serve people outside.
Yeah,
I guess it's the biggest news.
Okay, but in regards to movie
theaters, I don't know anything.
Okay. Yeah,
as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, it looks like Regal, they're going to 50%, and then AMC is going to 25%. I think that's what I read.
Interesting.
There's some kind of like Regal's instituting this spray that they can use throughout the between screenings to quickly disinfect the entire theater. And then, of course, your social distancing.
Yeah, you still work at a Regal.
Yeah,
I wouldn't trust them.
I don't know. We're so desperate to go back, and virus be damned, we're going back. All right, okay. So let's talk movies. First film we're going to talk about is Shirley. Shirley is on Hulu. I saw Shirley at Sundance, and everyone was there, but. The story is about the acclaimed author Shirley Jackson. I guess she's a horror novelist. I've not read her stuff, but I did see we used to live in castles. I'm getting these names wrong.
We have always lived in the castle with Sebastian Stan and Alexandra Daddario.
Yeah, and I actually like that one. Shirley I liked also. Let me get your thoughts. It's basically her life with her husband. She's researching her first book after doing The Lottery, the short story The Lottery. This is her first major novel, and it kind of chronicles not only her life with her husband, a professor, but also a newly married couple that they take in. And Shirley suffers from severe depression, and her husband is kind of walking on eggshells to kind of push her to write her next book, and in it, Shirley begins to cause a little mischief in the life of this married couple. Bobby, what did you think of it?
I hated everything but the acting. I found the score to be overpowering.
The ending, you said?
Couldn't hear what What was that?
The ending you said?
The score.
The score.
I hated everything but the acting, is what I said earlier.
Okay.
All four of the main actors do an excellent job. They're just in service of a movie that is bad. The score was constantly too loud to where it drowned out dialogue, so you couldn't hear everything being said. What's her name? Josephine Decker, is that the director?
Yeah, that's the director, writer director.
Josephine Deckers chooses really strange, intense close-ups, all done in silhouette, so you can't actually make out the action that's happening. It's a movie that wants you to hate not just it, but everybody, that all the characters in that movie as well. It's begging you to hate it. It does not want you to be empathetic or interested or invested. It's just an exercise in pure hatred. I thought the ending made it all mean nothing. It goes nowhere, and it goes nowhere awkwardly and strangely. And I love awkward, strange movies if they're fun or if they had a point. I was amazed at how much I hated this because I really love Shirley Jackson. I've read her books, all of them, but a good number of them. She's great. I love Elizabeth Moss, who is amazing in the movie. Let's that be like, every actor in the movie is great. Dessa Young plays the wife of the couple that they take in. She's great. Logan Lerman plays the husband of the couple they take in, and he gets to be like the straight man, the really quiet one, and he doesn't get to do that often.
Yeah, I
thought he did a really good job there. And then
hold on, let me cut you off just so we can because clearly I like this movie a lot more than you did. Clearly a lot more than you did. I think a lot of the things you didn't like about it, the shots, the score, I was okay with. I think what I'm finding myself to be mostly is a story person. I like a good story, and I really like this one. It just started off kind of slow, which is for me what a lot of movies do. It just I think I appreciate films that just sneak up on you, and just what happens to mostly Odessa Young in this movie, to me was what I loved the most about it. It's just this slow deterioration of this woman, and in a way, seeing the Shirley Jackson character be somewhat manipulative and somewhat maybe using this relationship that she has as research for what ultimately would be her novel. I would agree with you in the acting was great. I loved all four, especially with her husband Michael Stewart, who played by Michael Stuhlbarg. Those two just such a wonderfully toxic marriage, and I think it just paints for me. It just painted this strange and dark tapestry of a movie, which is why I like it. And I generally don't like. I'm not the biggest fan of dark films.
I have no problem with the movie being dark, but I felt like this movie never wanted you to actively be invested in these characters. It just wanted you to watch them and hate everything they did. The husband makes stupid decisions. Both husbands make stupid decisions. Both wives make stupid decisions. And at no point do people have a rational, normal conversation. Granted, for somebody like Shirley Jackson, that's hard to do. But for somebody like Rose, it shouldn't be. So you're just watching this person be stupid, who's not supposed to be stupid, for the entire movie.
Yeah.
Where's the engagement in that? Like, fun dialogue works. It wants to be a drama, but like, I didn't care what happened. I did not care how it wound up. I did not care who did what to whom. I like the idea of the ending, which I don't want to spoil, so this is all very vague. But it comes so near the actual closing credits of the movie that there's no time to explore what that means for anybody. So I felt I was hanging by a thread.
Yeah, it's I mean, the sense I'm getting is, I think you and I saw, this is one of those cases where you and I saw the exact same movie and I mean, and felt the same way about it, but came out, I came out liking it, and you came out not liking it at all.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, just everything you're describing. I in my head, I'm thinking, oh no, that's what I loved about this movie. You and I see a lot of films throughout the year. I mean, I'm on pace to have reviewed at least one movie every day this year, and so we see a lot of the same things, and I think, and I've seen movies definitely the way as you described it, but for some reason this one, I think it has a lot to do with the acting and the offbeat moments, the unusual moments that were like, oh, this is interesting, this is pretty cool, and yeah, so it can feel like a disjointed puzzle, but for me that's what makes it delectably good.
Makes sense.
Okay, all right, so let me see, I think I gave it an 8, actually. I'm gonna scroll down. There we go. I did give it. What would you have given it?
A 3.
A 3.
But solely based on the acting.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Like, it's only getting that score because the actors are just that amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
But taking them aside, putting them in their own little bubble over here, a -1.
So
without the acting, -1.
So basically, the casting director gets credit for at least 4 points. All right, so let's move on.
It's a movie I don't think I would recommend to anybody.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think Elizabeth Moss fans are gonna love this movie. It's just right up her alley.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah,
like, she's also amazing in The Invisible Man, and that movie's way better.
Well, it's a very different movie. All right, let's move on. I did. I loved it. I have a long story with that one. Great. I'm not going to share. All right, let's move on. We're talking I Am Vengeance. The reason we're talking about this movie from several years ago, one, it's on Netflix, and two, the sequel has come out on VOD, and so I figure let's go back in time and talk about the first one because I believe very much that they're two very different movies, and we'll talk about it in a moment. But yeah, so yeah, Bobby, why don't you just give us a breakdown real quick of I Am Vengeance.
I Am Vengeance is written and directed by Ross Blazek, and if I'm mispronouncing that name, I apologize.
Yeah, it's Blazek.
And it stars
it's Blazek.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, definitely. And it stars a wrestler named Stu Bennett, who, that's not the name he wrestled under, I forget what the name was, as a guy named John. He comes to this small town because his friend was killed, and he wants to find out who killed his friend, and he hunts them down. The story is nothing new. It's a version of Taken or Death Wish or these other revenge thrillers where it's just person comes to town seeking vengeance for somebody else's kidnapping, death, what have you. And they have a specialized set of skills that allows them to do that. For me, what makes I Am Vengeance so much more interesting is, one, drugs. So one of the main people in the movie is a drug addict who really wants to actually get off drugs and turn her life around. She winds up helping John quite a bit. And that makes it feel very timely with the I cannot talk today. Opioid crisis going on and stuff. And then it's wonderfully offbeat sense of humor is another thing I really loved about it. But the thing that makes the movie really stand out No, go.
Oh yeah. Well, it stars Stu Bennett from WWE, and also if you're like me, you've been watching NWA Power on YouTube. It seems much more like much more dramatic, a very dramatic film in a way.
Yeah, I would say it is. It still has action, but it's not just an action movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what you talked about. So give me an idea, because this is definitely an action film as well. What do you think of the action film? Do you even remember?
So I reread my review since I reviewed this movie when it came out 2 years ago, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And I liked the action. The action was pretty good for like a lower budget straight to DVD kind of thing. Like I watch a lot of those. Those are my bread and butter, really. Yeah. And the action was pretty fun, well edited, fast paced. You can follow it. But they do these weird little moments, even in the middle of the action, that breaks it up and makes it kind of funny. That drug addict I was talking about, she's helping John. They break into the facility where they're making the drugs and they're attacked by guards. They're fighting. The drug addict is going insane on the back of this one guy. And the Stu Bennett character, John, and the other people he's fighting stop what they're doing and just watch her for like 10 seconds going insane. And it's hysterical. But it also doesn't break the overall dramatic tone that the movie sets up about why he came back to avenge his friend and the drug crisis and all that. It still works within that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so so that'll bring us then to its sequel, which is on VOD now. I Am Vengeance: Retaliation, and I'll tell you, yeah, it's a different movie, and I'll tell you why. Because the first movie is John Gold, Stu Bennett, and it's him against the bad guy, and it's him against the bad guy. In this one, it starts off that way. But then he kind of gets corralled again back, or recruited back again into his special forces life, and he has to go after Shantigue, which is Vinnie Jones. He was in the first one, right? Or am I?
Vinnie Jones
is Vinnie Jones in the first one? Or
I don't remember him in the first one, but if he was, it must have been a cameo. There's some big cameo at the end of the movie that reveals the truth of who John is, that I don't remember who that was. So it might have been.
Okay, him. I think that's what it is. But suffice it to say, John is now recruited to hunt down Vinnie Jones or Shantigue here, and deliver him to a private island where he's going to be prosecuted for his crime, so to speak. And this movie becomes much more of a team, because he's brought in with a team. What it is the whole film is basically this elaborate cat and mouse chase where John Gold goes after Teague. So he's the cat and he's the mouse, but then Teague's team tries to get him, and then there's a third person involved that which I won't spoil, who's going after the both of them. And so it is this kind of elaborate cat and mouse where the cat and the mice roles interchange constantly throughout this film. And it's what you typically associate with an action film, which is it's just the movie is basically one set piece after the other of some kind of action sequence. And because it's a low budget, the action tends to be mostly hand-to-hand combat, guns, and explosion here or there. Does that surprise you?
It does. Because the first movie has a lot of action scenes, but it also knows when to slow down. Like, jumping slightly off topic for a moment, in Escape from New York, Snake Plissken enters the walled-off area to look for the president. The president is not in the downed plane. Snake Plissken just literally grabs a seat from the ground and sits down for a moment to just take it all in, breathe, decide his next course of action. The first I Am Vengeance movie does something similar. There's a character in it who owns a cafe, who wants to help clean up the streets and stuff. And he goes to her, and he goes to the cafe, and they had this sort of romantic chemistry, but it never actually goes that far. And the movie slows down and lets you absorb everything else that's going on. Yeah. So it's not just action after action. And again, the action has that weird offbeat humor. So I'm a bit surprised that they went a different route with that, because those are the things that make that movie stand out.
Right. And, and this one, because before seeing this, I had not seen the first one. So to me, this is one of those films it's like a porno where you have your main scenes of action and then a little bit of plot to kind of stream together. I would say the film overall is okay. Again, this is an action movie. It's got a fairly large cast, so a lot of emotional investment is split between a large group of people in this case, with John Gold being kind of the center of it all. It's still his story, but you see that he has a connection with the main villain and this third person, and then everyone else is kind of supporting that. And like Teague's team is very different in the sense that they're very colorful characters, while Gold's team is much more from a military standpoint, even though they're kind of loosey-goosey. But everyone involved are stunt people, and so this movie is the classic definition of an action movie. I should let you know that I interviewed both Ross and Stu this week, and their interviews will be online. It was pretty cool. Stu and I talked a little bit about wrestling, which was great. He has a lot to say about that, but also, he talks a lot about just the approach they took to the films, why Ross is taking things, and it's like his feeling about this one was, why make the same movie that we just made, and finding a way to broaden Gold's world and build a franchise around it. And so the hopes is, this film obviously will do well enough to warrant a third, fourth, fifth film, a full movie franchise, and keep Stu employed in the movie business at least. Although he's doing great in wrestling.
Right.
All right.
How long has he been wrestling?
Actually, he wrestles a little bit, but right now he's a commentator. And I don't know if you know, we talked about this in the interview a little bit, and I'm debating on whether how much wrestling to put on the page because we're Film Threat. Yeah. But Stu is part of NWA Power, which is a throwback to the old TV studio wrestling days, where it's a ring inside of a soundstage, a news soundstage, local TV soundstage, and I forgot what's his name from the Smashing Pumpkins. Billy Corgan runs it.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Oh, you don't know that? No,
What?
Billy Corgan is the president of NWA and co-owner of it, and so he's brought wrestling back to that old South feeling of that studio. And Stu is a commentator for the action. Yeah, all a long story. We could talk about it later, but so that's what we have. All right, so we have 3 films. Shirley on Hulu. Bobby says don't bother. I say give it. I liked it. Give it a shot. I Am Vengeance is on Netflix, and then I Am Vengeance Retaliation is on video on demand. Bobby, where can we reach you?
You can find me on Facebook at Bobby Kenneth Lepire, and then everywhere else as Film Guy 450, or you can just go to Film Threat and read mine and everyone else's reviews. Yeah.
Absolutely. Go to filmthreat.com for we're publishing at least 4 reviews a day. Follow us on social, Film Threat on everything, even here on YouTube and Twitch. And with that, let's get out of here.